Hello everyone, Nosy here, aka Icon7.
Steven, what are you doing in there?
Drugs.
And yeah, today I will be covering up the check spots on the long wall jungle gym. A few days ago, I did the check spots on the short wall jungle gym, as well as I did check spots on the TL wall, as well as filler palettes. So if you haven't checked these out, make sure to check them out because they are super helpful in case you want to feel invincible. If you don't want to feel invincible, then it's completely up to you. I mean, I'm pretty much showing you guys free wall hacks. Almost. I had lots of people telling me if you loop the palette the same way as if the palette is not dropped. Yes, you loop the palette the same way even if it's not dropped. Now let's say you drop it and the killer decides to try and do some giga brain mind games, then that shouldn't be a problem because you know all your check spots. Now I get it, it's a jungle gym, most killers will also break the palette. The killer has to somehow mind game a palette to get a free hit on you. And yes, it does happen in jungle gyms as well. That's why there are check spots in jungle gyms, because people get caught in jungle gyms a lot. It is insane. I mean, all I'm going to say is that this happens a lot in competitive, but this can also happen in public matches. I mean, to be honest, you don't have to watch these videos if you don't want to. You can play the palette the way how you want to, but I'm pretty much giving you free wall hacks. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, if my voice sounds a little bit like tired-ish, it's because I just woke up.
We don't care. Let me tell you.
And I decided to instantly hop on and yeah, make this guide. So let's get into it. Check spot number 1, you need to position yourself like this because you can see 3 areas. You can see behind you between the crack, you can see the killer coming from the right side, and you can see the killer coming from the left side. Check spot number 2, you can see the killer from your left, as well as from the window, as well as just from behind the pallet. Check spot number 3, you can see the killer from your right, as well as from your left. Of course, there are crossroad check spots again, and I will explain while getting chased. Now over here, I see the killer coming from my right. I vault the pallet and I will look through the pallet because I need to know if the killer will actually commit from behind the wall to my right, basically behind me, or if the killer will double back last second. And I will show an example later as well, what I mean by that. After looking through the pallet, I don't see him, which means he's committing from behind me. I'm on this check spot now, but I will continue looping because he's still behind me. I will vault and I will do the same thing. Now, if you're doing the crossroad check spot and you're looking through the pallet for like 1.5, 2 seconds, and you still haven't seen the killer, and even while moving and looking behind you, you still haven't seen the killer from that side as well. That could be 2 things. They could either be waiting behind the wall, ready to moonwalk and come from that same side again, or they could be double backing, but they just took it very late, and that is why I couldn't see them through the pallet. But in this case, if this happens, make sure you make it to the next check spot as soon as possible so you can see where the killer is coming from. Because from this position, you can see if the killer is moonwalking from your right or if they're actually double backing from your left. In this case, they did double back from my left, but I still made the pallet.
What are you doing, step bro?
Bruh.
Now, here is an example of bad timing. Now, here I took it a little bit too fast. Now, as you can see, I'm looking through the pallet, but I didn't look enough. And that was pretty quick.
Poor performance indeed.
And as you can see, this can happen. Now, from this check spot, they can also come from this side. Now, that is why you have the 3 areas that I mentioned in the beginning, because you can see where the killer is coming from. Now, I vault the pallet, and they will come from this side again. However, if you don't see the red stain, once again, it could be many things. The killer could be moonwalking, so they could still come from this side but moonwalking, or they're double backing already to come from that side on the other side. If this happens, make it to the next check spot as soon as possible, because from here you will actually see the killer did double back. And if this happens, if you see them coming from your right, you just continue looping, vaulting the pallet. And from here, once again, I will do the crossroad check spot. I didn't see him. They are committing from my back. However, that's why you have to wait on this check spot. This is why this is a check spot, because from here you need to see if the killer will actually double back again. In this case, they did, so they can cut me off from my left side, but this is a check spot, so I wait there and I see what's happening. Now you can see the killer coming from my left. They are moonwalking. I can see them moonwalking. They're coming from behind me, and I just vault the pallet.
Oh my god,
Be careful though, because they can moonwalk from here too and then come from your left, but then they can moonwalk from here as well. Now, what can happen here is they could be moonwalking and actually still come from there, or they could be double backing and going around the pallet trying to catch you from the other side. To prevent this, as you can see, I made it to the pallet, so basically my check spot as fast as possible, and yes, indeed, they did double back and they are going around the wall to catch me from this side basically. But since I know, I'm just going back to my other check spot, as you can see over here.
How do you feel about yourself? A failure? Yes.
Now, here is an example of bad timing. So they moonwalk over here, and then they will pretend they're committing. But as you can see, I have no idea where the killer is, and they come from that side exactly. Here is a chase example. Now, I'm getting chased. The killer will come from my left, and I will just vault the pallet, and then they will continue coming from my left, but I will see it because I'm paying attention. Now, they're still committing. Now, over here, as you can see, they're double backing. So I made sure I made it close to the pallet so I can see in case they're actually double backing. Now I'm just vaulting the pallet because I know where the killer is. Now they will do it again. I will do the crossroad check spot. I don't see them, so they're committing from my back. And I will just continue looping, vaulting the pallet. They cannot hit me. Now over here, they will come from my left. I will vault the pallet. And this is something that I want to talk about because...
Litang you, maliwanag ba yon? Dahil doon, hoy!
Remember when I told you about that one check spot over there? Now pay attention how the killer is showing the red stain over here. Now usually what they do sometimes is they show the red stain and then they will hide it behind this wall and then go behind the wall completely around the jungle gym. Now a lot of experienced killers do that to get a free hit on a survivor because not many know about this check spot, but that is why you have to keep paying attention over there. Because look what's going to happen. Now I vault this. Now they're coming back. I vaulted again. I wait here. I'm holding my check spots. This is my safe zone. And as you can see, the killer is going around. Killers will do the most insane mind games just to get a free hit or a down on a survivor in a jungle gym. Now over here again, the crossroad check spot. Now I'm looking behind me. It's very important to look behind you because once again, they can still be double backing from this side as well. So I'm still looking behind me, but also looking in front of me through the pallet because that's how you know if they're double backing. And in this case, they are. So I'm just going back to my other check spot and over here I wait again and then I vault the pallet. What killers also love doing is hiding the red stain on the same side that you're in. Now, as you can see over here, now I'm on the same side as the trapper, but they're like hiding it so tight that if you are hugging the pallet, you won't be able to see it. So you need to like position yourself so you can still see, and they can still do it from the other side as well. I just wanted to mention that because it's a silly trick, but this trick might get to you. I also want to talk about resilience because resilience is a really good perk. It is, I feel like it's like a must because it's just so good. The extra 9% of vault speed, it helps you in so many situations. I just wanted to say that because it's an amazing perk. And yeah, that's that for the long wall jungle gym check spots. Lots of people ask me, do you play the same if the pallet is still up? Now, jungle gyms, you can use the window as much as you want, but the moment you get hit or you feel forced to drop the pallet or you just need to drop the pallet, otherwise you will go down. However, if you do so and the killer decides to not break the pallet, that's where the check spots come in play. So yeah, you can use the window. Jungle gyms, especially long wall jungle gyms, connecting the window is very strong. Don't get me wrong. So you can connect the window. If a killer has bamboozle and bamboozles the window and forces you to drop the pallet, or if the window is just blocked and you're forced to drop the pallet, then you just drop it. If the killer decides to break it, you just move to another loop. If the killer tries to mind game you, well, you're invincible. That is the whole point of check spots. And I feel like not many people understand the meaning of these videos because there are good killers out there that can easily down survivors in jungle gyms. The amount of times I've seen survivors go down in less than 10 seconds on a jungle gym with a drop pallet is insane. People do get mind gamed on these pallets, and that is the point of these videos. That is the point of check spots. Now you can play the jungle gym how you want, but as soon as you're forced to drop the pallet and the killer does not decide to break it, well, that's where you feel invincible. That's where you can use your check spots, and that is the whole point of it. Some killers will try and do some crazy mind games just to get a free hit on you in a jungle gym because it is very rewarding for them. Yes, you have to put a little bit of effort into it. You have to practice it a little bit, but I mean, that's normal, right? I mean, you're not gonna get it for free, right? You need to practice for it, you know? Because at the end of the day, it will feel rewarding and it will feel a lot more satisfying if you actually perform it in a game. The next video will probably be shack or maybe main building. Yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I hope this guide was helpful. Make sure to check out my other CHECKSPOT guides. And yeah, like always, Mommy knows she loves you. See you in the next one. Bye.